What if it's true that all of life is working for you and there's nothing you can do to mess it up? What if every setback is a setup to help us evolve, to help us grow? It's cliche, I know, but what if it's true? And what if you knew that there are no wrong turns, only detours to help us learn more than before? What if it could be fun? What if it's all a game? I bet if you knew, you'd never see things the same. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Maybe it's all a comforting lie that I've bought. But why not give it a shot? Because life will leave us fraught, if a little hope we have not. That is one of my original poems, and I wanted to share that today because that is the theme of today's video. My name is Trisha Veldman. I am a speech and confidence coach and founder of Powerful and Poised. I am also a spoken word poetess. You can find my book on Amazon called Create and Receive, Make and Believe, Finding Peace Through Primarily Positive Poetry. You can find the link for that in the description or at my website, powerfulandpoised.com. If you watched my latest video, then you know that my mother passed away 3 weeks ago, as of today, actually. And today, I want to share an optimistic message of hope for anyone going through any either great big rough time or even just a small tough time or something that's frustrating or feels off. Because this has been a really powerful time for me to learn about myself and life and how we process things. So first off, I want to say I thought I knew what grief was, but I had no idea. This is a whole other ballgame. I have had experiences of being sad in the past and even very sad. I think one of the most traumatic experiences I had in my adult life was when Hurricane Michael, which was a Category 5 hurricane, ripped through my hometown and totally destroyed everything we knew. And I wasn't living there at the time, but I happened to be visiting my parents that week. And I just remember being so devastated, like, how am I ever going to overcome this? And I even have PTSD a little bit with hurricanes now, even though I grew up in Florida and that was just a normal thing, a normal part of growing up. It's not the same anymore. But anyway, all of that's to say, I thought at the time, like, I was going through deep grief. I thought that was bad. And it was a form of grief for sure. And heartbreaks, breakups, everyone goes through periods of intense sadness. But this is not like anything I've experienced before. I can't even put it into words. It's like a full body experience. And I've actually been listening to a podcast by Dr. Andrew Huberman of the Huberman Lab talking about the science and the physiology of grief. It's 2 hours long, so I haven't finished it yet, but I am learning that it very much is a physical process as well as an emotional and spiritual process. I've noticed that I'm just tired and it's hard to eat, but I'm hungry and I'm weak, and it's like you feel this like tension and this weight, and everyone's experience is different. So I definitely want to acknowledge that. But the point of me sharing this video is not to talk about grief per se, although I do recommend you check out my last video where I talk about what I've found helpful that people have shared with me and how you can communicate with someone who is going through grief or going through a loss or a tough time, and hopefully some strategies that will help you if you are in that position as well. But today what I want to talk about was the theme of that poem, that what if this is good? Which is something that I can rationalize with myself and think about and get in my positive energy state with most things at some point. But this, it's just like, that's the last thing I want to hear. When your whole body is sad and it feels like you're sitting under a big vat of mud and you can't get up, it's like, what if this is good? It's not what you want to hear. It doesn't land a lot of the time. But yesterday, I had a series of days where it just really started to hit me hard. Because the first few days, yes, it hit me, but we were planning for the funeral, and then we had so much family in town. We were surrounded by people, and then it was like the logistics of everything. So for about a week, nothing really hit me. I mean, it hit me, but it was different because there was always something to think about. And then the family leaves and we go back to work, and then it's like, oh, this is our new reality. And so last week and this week have been a lot tougher for me. So yesterday I was in my meditation and I was just sad. It was so hard to get out of bed. I forced myself out of bed. I meditated and I started crying in my meditation, just thinking about my mom. And then in that really deep sadness, I almost heard her. Granted, I was in a deep meditative state, but I felt like I heard her almost shake me, and it was just like, stop. This is good. And all of a sudden, those tears, literally, it was just like, stop. They stopped. And I was like, okay. And it's something snapped in me. It was it's not something that I think you can talk yourself into. It was a very physical experience, and mental and psychological and spiritual, but it was like this sudden shift that I felt within me that I couldn't have made happen by myself. It was like that voice or whatever just like snapped me out of it. It was like, whoo, okay. And suddenly I just got the message, this is good. Even if you don't understand it, even if it's painful, and all of these nice things that people say that don't always land, for whatever reason, it landed in my body in that moment. And it was like, okay, this is good. And then I was in the best mood. It was so weird. And I didn't, sometimes after the loss of a loved one, we feel guilty being happy. I struggled a lot with even being happy while my mom was sick and suffering, and that's something I had to learn. So it's okay to be happy even though she's sick. She's on her own journey. I also know, and I've talked to so many people who say like, yeah, I feel so guilty being happy, and I, now that they're gone, or I felt in those first times. Someone just told me this morning, she was like, I remember after my dad died, the first time I laughed, I felt so guilty, but then I realized he would want that for me too. And so, anyway, I was so happy and I was in such a good mood, but I didn't feel any guilt about it because it was almost like my mom was telling me to do it. And I know this is so cliche, and everyone says, like, they would want you to be happy. And I actually gave my whole eulogy about how I think my mom would want me to be a little sad and have a pity party, because that was one of her things that she always said was like, feel your feelings, have the pity party, and then move on. And so it's not that I don't think she wants me to ignore my grief and just move on and be happy. I think she wants me to feel the full spectrum of emotions. But the message I got was like, this is good. And so yesterday when I was in that really good mood and in this high vibe state, it was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I was almost happy, like I was celebrating that her soul now had the chance to move forward and to be free from all of the physical pain and suffering that she was in this lifetime. And it's really hard for us to accept, especially when it's someone you love, and for us to really believe. But again, for whatever reason, that shift happened in my body, and I was like, this is good, this is great. And I started dancing, which I have not danced in a few weeks. I love just dancing around my house, and I was like, oh my gosh, I still know how to dance. And it was beautiful. And then I had a session later in the day with this energy healer lady, and she went a lot deeper on this concept, and she helped me move through a lot of my grief by letting me feel it. She was like, that's how you move through grief, is you feel it, you just let it come up, and you just let it flow without attaching to it or clinging to it. You just let it flow, and you can let it go and embrace the positives. But what I think is really important about that is that it's a somatic experience, meaning you feel it without attaching stories to it either way. Because if I attach a story that like, oh my gosh, I miss her so much, and I go down that spiral, it makes it more intense. But then if I give myself the narrative that like, oh no, this is good, this is good, this is good, and I slap that on top of my grief, it's not actually gonna change it. So you have to feel the full spectrum of the emotions without the mental narrative around it. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. I'm sharing all of this to say, I had that moment. What if this is good? But not even what if. It was like, this is good. And it just reminded me of the concept of believing that life is working out for you. It literally is. And no matter what's happening, whether it's a big loss or a heartbreak, or you spilled potato salad all over the couch and I have to clean it up, or some other little frustrating thing, or your client canceled, or whatever, you missed an appointment, these little things might actually be good. And the big things that feel so awful might actually be good too. And it's really hard sometimes, like I said, especially if you're in that deep state of grief, to believe that. And I don't think we should just slap that on top of a negative emotion and try to snap ourselves out of it. I think that has to happen kind of organically. But the shift is, what if? What if this is good? Because when you ask a question, it opens your mind for curiosity and to then maybe try to find solutions and find an answer. If I just tell myself this is good, this is good, this is good, but I don't really believe it, it's not going to make me feel like it's good. But if I step back and say, like, what if this is a good thing? What if that was meant to be? And I want to share, just to help you if you're struggling with that, I want to share a few things that happened in the last few weeks that just gave me signs that, like, oh my gosh, God has my back. I literally texted my siblings after one of these things happened. Like, God has really had my back on that one, and the universe is taking care of me. So I was supposed to be in Sicily. Well, I would have been back by now, but I was supposed to go to Sicily for 2 weeks. And I had bought insurance on the trip knowing that my mom was sick and there was a chance something would happen. And I just had this bad feeling ever since I booked it. I was like, it's not going to happen. But I got the insurance, and even up till a few days before my mom passed, she was like, you are going. And she really wanted me to go. But anyway, a few weeks prior to that, I got an email from the airline saying, we had to change your flight time. If this time no longer works for you, click here for a refund, to cancel your ticket and get a refund. And I looked, and it was like 1 hour difference. They literally moved the flight up by 1 hour. It would have been fine for me. So I was like, no, I just left it. And then when I realized, I was like, okay, my mom's really bad. Like, I have to cancel this trip. I was going to use the insurance, but I was like, I wonder if that email is still valid. And I clicked on it, and I got a full refund directly to my credit card, like, that day, without even having to go through insurance. I did lose some money on the trip in other ways, which I'm filing insurance for, but it was like, oh my gosh. And then I had another flight that was a leg of the trip booked, and I didn't think I'd get any money back from that one. And I had a cancellation fee, but I still got the majority of my money as a credit. And it was just like, oh, well, okay, that worked out. And like, little things like that just kept happening. And then last week, I had a client, and I was thinking, I was like, I know I'm supposed to meet with her at some point. And I looked at my calendar and I didn't see her name. So I was like, I don't remember when we scheduled next, because my last session with her had been the day before my mom passed, and my mom was really sick that day. And I remember meeting with her in my childhood bedroom of my parents' house because I didn't want to be too far. So I brought my computer into that room, and I was doing my sessions from there that day. And I remember meeting her and just being like a little checked out because, well, I tried to be as present with her as I could. But at the end, I was like, all right, Nancy, to get off, because my mom was there. And so I was like, I cannot even remember what we said about scheduling, and it's not on my calendar. I don't know what to do. So I was like, I'll check on that. And then, so on a Tuesday, I have a running document with our notes, and I realized the session was scheduled for the day before. It's like Monday, June 1st. And this was June 2nd that I was seeing it. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, she didn't reach out to me. She didn't tell me she was waiting or anything. So I texted her. I was like, did I miss our session yesterday? And she texted me back and she said, I missed it too. I was sick. I completely forgot. And it was just such a godsend. That's the one where I texted my siblings like, oh my gosh, God really had my back on this one, because the odds of both of us forgetting is really slim. And that just happened. And then there was another client I had. It was on my mom's last day, my last day that I got to spend with her. I had one client that I hadn't canceled because I canceled all my other sessions so I could be with her. But there was one client that I knew had an upcoming presentation. I didn't want to cancel on her. And she canceled at the last minute. She's like, I'm stuck in a meeting. And that hour that she canceled, I was able to watch home videos with my mom from when we were kids. And it was the most special thing we did all day. And it was again, like, this was a client who never cancels. She canceled and she paid for the session. Like, it was just all these little things that are reminders that life is working for us, even if we don't understand why. And it feels like it's going against everything that should be. Like right now, everything in my life just feels wrong. It just feels wrong. It does not normal. There's this big void. It's so hard. And I keep getting these little signs of like things just working out. And it's so refreshing. But I think as a practice, we have to get in the habit of noticing those things and remembering those things. Because to be honest, I could tell you a bunch of little things that didn't work out. Like when my client no-showed yesterday and I could have gone to the gym, or like when this other thing happened, like little bad things happen. But I try personally to not dwell on those little things that go wrong. So instead of the, of course that happened mentality that a lot of people have, like, of course it's raining the one day I decide to go out, or of course, whatever. I say those sometimes too, but it's just not a healthy mentality. And I feel like it limits the magic that we see in our lives. And so the point of me sharing all of this is to say, try to get in the habit of asking yourself, what if this is good? What if, even if it's not good, what if this is where I'm meant to be? What if, even though I cannot understand anything and everything in my body says that this is wrong, what if that's exactly what my body and my mind and my heart and my soul need to go through? What if that's what my mom needs to go through? What if part of why this situation is so hard for me is now I'm so worried about my dad because he doesn't have a job. He was retired. And so my siblings and I are both all back at work now, and he's just home alone all day, and I just spend my days like so nervous for him. And I'm like, what if this is what his soul needs to go through? And we have to let go and trust at a certain level. But my homework for you, or what I encourage you to do, is just get in the habit of asking yourself, what if this is good? And when good little things happen, write them down. I started creating a running list of like the magic moments and the little magical things that happen, because that makes us more attuned to them, so we can point them out in the future and dwell in that space. And I will tell you, my healing and my ability to just show up has been so much stronger in the past 2 days since I had that moment of like, this is good, which I did have a few moments of those weeks before too. When I have those moments, it's really helpful. And then I fall down again and I have to have another moment, but it keeps me going. And I think this is true whether you're going through profound grief or not, or you're just going through the day-to-day stressors and ups and downs of life. Focus on what if it's good? Just what if? You don't know. You don't know. So let go. You can do the meditation I released a few weeks ago about letting go of control, surrendering to the outcome, and leave a comment below with something magical that happened in your life that let you know like you are on the right path. Thank you so much for watching. Please follow, subscribe, and leave a comment with what stuck out to you.